Hello and welcome to what is a fairly bittersweet episode of Ben Bum Cars. Today what I want to do is talk about my Porsche 911. Now this has been my first Porsche and I've had it for a little over 2 years, but sadly I'm going to be selling it shortly on Bring a Trailer. What I want to do today is talk about a few things. First, what it's been like to daily drive a Porsche 911. Second, what I think about the 996 generation. And then finally, talk about some of the reasons why I'm selling it, but more importantly, why I'm gonna miss it so much. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is my first Porsche. And I want to talk first about why I decided to get it. So first what I want to do is talk about why 911s are so cool in general. And the biggest thing is they're incredibly practical. This is something that kind of surprised me when I purchased the car. I was going from a Subaru Outback to this 911, and I do a lot of outdoor activities and stay fairly busy. I had a couple requirements when getting a car. First, I wanted it to be fun and sporty. That was a real important thing for me. That was a big motivation for me to get a new car. But on top of that, I needed to be able to fit suitcases, go on road trips, fit passengers if needed, carry a bike, and so on and so forth. I spent a lot of time looking for cars, and there's a lot of good sports cars that fit this kind of mold. I think a lot of hot hatches could be a good example, but none of them had quite the performance that this did for the price with the ability. One of the things that's been so impressive with this car is the fact that I can put a bike rack on the roof and carry 2 mountain bikes with me, no problem. Also, I have a frunk and tons of space in the back where the seats fold down. So I can carry lots of suitcases, lots of luggage. I've put an entire bicycle in the car before. And finally, these cars are quite reliable. The 996 generation gets a lot of hate for a number of things, some that don't make sense, some that do, more mechanical things that do. However, they can be addressed. So things like the IMS bearing that failed on a lot of cars, it's been replaced on this car, so it's not something to worry about. Now I realize I'm talking about the elements that make this car practical, but of course this is a sports car, and to me that was the most important thing. And this thing performs so well as a sports car. The flat six has such a nice sound, and it's such a smooth engine. I love driving with it. It has a really nice 6-speed gearbox, it shifts really well, and the balance of the car is great. I've taken this to a high-performance driving day and done some instruction in it, and I've been blown away by the ability of it to just fly around on fun roads, on little tracks, and so on and so forth. The fact that this car can be both so practical, but also so fun, makes it incredibly unique in my mind. I don't think that hot hatches quite do that. They seem to favor more practicality than sportiness. So for me, this has been the perfect balance. So next what I want to do is talk about why I chose the 996. And the primary reason is that it's a 911. Now, I'm on one of my favorite roads in the Seattle area, which is the Mercer Island Loop. This is a little residential island in between Seattle and Bellevue, and a lot of people live here. The speed limits are slow, there's a lot of cyclists, so it's not the kind of road that you fly around. But in terms of beautiful drives and nice corners and smooth roads, it's as good as you can get within the city. And driving this car on these roads, it's very nostalgic for me, because this is where I took this car after I first got it. The handling, even at these lower speeds, really stands out. Now, Porsches in general are really special because although they're high-performance cars and really well designed and drive incredibly, they're still really reliable and robust. So although this car is from 1999, it feels like a new car. The suspension is tight, it's really stiff, the body doesn't roll, but it just tracks really well on the road. The steering's incredible. You can really feel the road through the steering wheel, and the pedal feel, the control you get through all the inputs is really good. Now, in addition to this being a 911, the real obvious reason why a lot of people go with 996s as well is the price. I was able to get this car for less than half the price of any other generation 911. These 996s have been hated for a few reasons. The first reason is mechanical. There's been some pretty common issues with the engines, the M96 engines that came on these 996s. A lot of these issues are addressable, so things like the IMS bearing have been replaced on this car. So a lot of the issues that people like to complain about are also really easy to address and not too expensive too either. Secondarily, there's the looks, and it really comes down to the headlights. If you look at this car from the rear, it looks like any other 911. It's an incredibly timeless design, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's gorgeous from the front too, however. A lot of critics have compared these headlights to fried eggs, and although they're not the same iconic round headlights that you see on other cars, I like to kind of reinterpret that and think of these as Porsche GT1 headlights. These were designed for one of the most incredible race cars that has been around, and I think that that's the heritage that people should be looking to when they're thinking about this car. Now, the final reason I really like the 996 is because compared to the 993 that came before it and the 997 that came after it, I believe it's a better handling car. It's lighter than the 993 and the 997, and that's something you really notice. Also, this one that I have is particularly special in my mind because it was built in February of 1998. And for people that are really in the 996 community, they'll know that that means that it's a really early build date. And these early builds in early 1998 were made on the same production line as the 993s. It also contained a lot of elements from the 993. One of those is the throttle is not electronic. It's actually kind of a wire that connects the throttle pedal to the engine. It also has the 993 steering wheel, which a lot of people replace and don't like, but I really enjoy it. But that's all coupled with newer components. And although a lot of purists don't like these newer water-cooled cars, I think the sound's incredible. They develop more power, they're lighter weight, they're more reliable, so there's a lot of benefits to it. Well, you still get that really old school 911 feel. So in my mind, this is the perfect balance. So the final question that remains is, why am I selling my 911? And there's a few reasons for it. The first and the biggest one is that I haven't been using it in the way that I thought I would. What this car does such a good job at is big grand tours, big road trips, and finding really nice roads all around the country. But sadly, due to other travel and work and other stuff, I haven't been able to do that close to as much as I hoped. Second, I'm going to be doing a little bit more commuting, and it just doesn't make sense to keep this kind of car for that kind of purpose. And then finally, there's a financial aspect, which is the value of this car has gone up since I got it, and I can sell it now, get it to an owner that's really going to appreciate it, and use that money later for something else that's fun, whether it's a car or a house or something else that is going to be more meaningful to me. So finally, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and comment and all that. It helps the algorithm. Definitely comment if you think I'm making a mistake or if you have any other ideas around my decision to sell this car, because I know a lot of people are starting to warm up to these more than they have before. So thank you so much.